Hello all you bladers. So today we're going to be going over a competitive burst standard combination. This is burst Spriggan 2 over bearing Mobius 0. So it's a stamina combo. You can use it in same spin and opposite spin, and because of burst you can use it in the left or right spin rotation. So it's very versatile in that sense, but it's unique also because it's not just spinning and has a lot of endurance or stamina. It's unique in the sense that burst is a very wide and big layer, and it's got nice slopes to it. As well, it's got recoil because of these rubber blades, and bearing Mobius likes to tilt. So I'll explain part by part and then we'll go over each part, or we'll go over the whole combo. So first is the driver, bearing Mobius. Now, a lot of bladers tend not to use this part because it's essentially bearing in the sense that it's a sharp cone tip driver, but it tilts a lot more and it usually falls down and isn't very consistent when you use it on something like dynamite. So if you have like dynamite on bearing Mobius or wind on bearing Mobius against a wind or dynamite on bearing or bearing drift, it'll usually lose. And that's because bearing Mobius likes to tilt, but that's where burst helps it, because burst is actually the blade helps it stay more upright. So bearing Mobius, basically, it helps burst with leaning on top of other bays and getting nice recoil hits because it tilts. Bearing Mobius is also a pretty good defensive driver, I would say, if you can launch it right, because when it tilts, it does the thing where it like spins on the washer and you can dig into the stadium and get a nice smooth grip on it. So it's a unique driver, bearing Mobius, but if you get it to work, it does work pretty consistently, I would say. And then of course you get to the next part, which is the disc over. I chose over something like illegal just to give this combo some nice heavy weight, and you would also need some inward weight distribution rather than illegal just having all outward weight, because if you have a lot of outward weight and not very much inward weight on a driver that tilts, you'll tilt a lot more and lean a lot more. So you need some inward weight for that stability. So that's that. And then you've got the big player, burst Spriggan 2 with 0. So 0 I chose just because it's one of the heaviest armors. I believe 8, 4, and 9 are on the same level in terms of weight, but 0 just has the most consistent stamina, and obviously it's 4-sided just like burst. Now burst doesn't have raw stamina, but it does actually have pretty good stamina. In terms of if you were just to put it against something like wind or dynamite on bearing, it would do pretty well. I mean, you could get like 2 wins out of 5 rounds maybe with burst just on a pure stamina setup. But it's big and it's got a lot of recoil. Well, not a lot of recoil, but it's very big and you can get some nice smacking hits with it. So it works best on a stamina setup that you could kind of like smack down the opponent with. And of course there's Spriggan 2, which has the best left spin stamina, I would say, besides the Helios core based on other bladers testings. I don't have the new Hyperion or Helios cores or Lucifer, but it does seem very solid for left spin and a very good contender for right spin. Just right spin, there's a lot more options in Lucifer, Dragon, Perseus, even Excalibur on dash drivers. You can get that to work, or Belial 3 too. So it's best in left spin because there's a lot more options than right, but it works on this combo just mainly because you can use it in left or right spin. So yeah, the combo as a whole, it's got some nice burst resistance, it's got some nice weight to it, and the main weakness I would say is just opposite spin, because bearing Mobius will tilt, and even if burst helps it stay upright, in same spin you can kind of use the tilting to like get like a nice smack in the opponent and then like hit it in weird angles and kind of like kill its stamina. But in opposite spin, if you tilt downward, the other bay will just get on top of you. If you get up on top of them, you'll usually draw, but in opposite spin is where this combo lacks. I would say it's top tier in same spin though, and you can get it to work really nicely for defense. So we're gonna try this thing out in mainly the Burst Standard Stadium. Maybe we'll do a part 2 or some battles in the DB Stadium, but we'll do mostly Burst Standard Stadium battles, and we'll try this out against some combos, see how it works, and I'll show you how good this thing is. Okay, so first let's see how this thing moves around. So I'm gonna launch it flat, parallel to the stadium first. So obviously it moves around a little bit because obviously Mobius has a washer instead of a bearing, so it's gonna move a little bit more to the edge, but it's mostly pretty stable, which is what Burst helps it do. Now, if you tilt it on the thing, it'll help with defense. So if I kind of tilt launch it, or if I tilt launch it and kind of slide it, you see it's a lot more tilted, so it'll kind of like tilt more easily. Now another way is you just launch it tilted that way. It'll stay in the center and kind of slide around. So in the initial contacts against something like Guilty, you'll be able to defend a lot easier, and I'll actually demonstrate that right now with Guilty Longinus Fortress Quick Dash 4. So we're gonna do a quick test battle. Okay, or not. Or not. Let's just try that one more time. So you can see the initial contacts kind of slowed it down. It's not, this example isn't really working well. A quick dash kind of has like dust on it. You can see the white parts in there. Like white dust on it. So let's try this against some same spin stamina options. First of all, to show its strengths. So Wind Excalibur, Illegal, High Extend plus Dash 9. That time I launched a lot harder just because you want to get near the outside, so you kind of come in to the center and get those nice recoil hits. So you'll notice it's hitting a little harder than a normal stamina type would against winds, and you kind of get some nice recoil in that. So it's down to the last spin, and of course Burst will take this. So Wind I launched kind of on the side there to kind of move away from the center. So this time it's going to be a little less recoily, more of just a pure stamina match. So they're both pretty wide layers, so normally Burst would push something underneath it, but Wind is also on a high driver. So this kind of setup really just is used to show how Burst works. And then of course, High Extend plus Dash is starting to tilt underneath Mobius. And bearing Mobius tilts, and it kind of just gets it underneath. Now, I have been launching Wind first, so we'll do Burst launched first. Okay, so yeah, you can see how that works. Just very good same spin stamina. Now, against Wind, obviously, Wind is a lot wider, so you can kind of argue that it might do some things differently. So we're gonna try it against the Dynamite F gear combination next. Burst would take that as well, so 3 wins out of the rounds we've done. Now next we're gonna do Dynamite F Gear Dragon over Bearing Dash with the 3 armor. My bearing dash is a little worn, so it's not going to be as stationary, but you can see that dynamite is kind of like, yeah. So burst is very good in same spin. So you can see that it won that round. We'll do one more round. Try to launch bearing. So you can see burst won that pretty handily as well. So now we're going to kind of show off its weakness combination. So this is Vanish Achilles over Bearing Dash 3. So it does struggle quite a bit in opposite spin, as you'll see here. So if I launch burst kind of tilted to try to kind of get on top of Vanish. So right now they're just equalizing, but eventually you'll see that burst will start to tilt, and Vanish normally gets on top of it and just manages to get the last spin out of it. Yeah, so you can kind of see that Vanish won that because burst fell over while Vanish was still twisting. So try that one more time. So Vanish is on the tilting and burst is in the center. Ideally, you'd think that burst would be able to get on top of it, but that's not gonna happen because, like I said, an opposite spin, it can work a little bit, but it really doesn't work that well against like top tier stuff like bearing, high extend plus, drift, Mobius. Against like lower tier stuff, like maybe if someone's using like a more like, I don't know, like a driver like Moment, maybe it could win that, but yeah, you can see it does not do very well in opposite spin. Now, to demonstrate how good its left spin stamina is, we're gonna go ahead and take out the chip and switch it to dual spin rotation. So this is gonna be burst Spriggan in left spin now. So this is left spin rotation, burst Spriggan over bearing Mobius 0, same combination. We're gonna go ahead and switch out bearing on Vanish for high extend plus. So Vanish Achilles over high extend plus dash 3. So this is a left spin stamina matchup. I launched burst first just because honestly Vanish is not really much of a threat. I feel like burst in left can deal with left spins as far as like stamina is concerned a lot more handily than burst in right does, because burst in left has a more downward slope, so it kind of pushes the opponent more underneath it. Burst in right has more of like a upward recoily shape. Oh, I might have, Yeah, so Vanish actually won that one. So let's try that again. So it kind of knocked it out of control there. So burst is going more towards the outside now. Now they're kind of settling in the center. So yeah, burst is kind of pushing Vanish towards its limit. Huh. So Vanish won that one too, huh? That's interesting. might have underestimated Vanish on High Extend Plus. That's weird. Oh, no, it's gonna... Yeah, it's gonna get... Well, okay. Yeah, see, it's... Wow, okay, so it won 3-0. Okay, so I underestimated Vanish. Let's try that one more time. So a more angled launch. Very interesting. Vanish won 4-0. Okay, so I guess Vanish on High Extend Plus outspins Burst on Mobius. So now let's try this on Bearing. Maybe it's just High Extend Plus that outspins it. So my bearing is a little worn, so it's a little more flat than your normal bearing would be, but the basic idea is that you basically, yeah, so I won that one. So it seems to me, at least, that burst in right spin's more versatile than burst in left spin, because burst in right spin can get those recoil hits more. Burst in left spin has more of a downward shape, so it kind of has to push the opponent underneath it. Now, let's try burst in left against a guilty. So, same spin. So you can see that Bearing Mobius is kind of just digging into the stadium. Every time guilty hit it, it kind of just tilted. And, yeah, so great defense on that part. Let's try that again. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for guilty to get more towards the center. There we go. There we go. So very hard hits. Now a problem with burst against attack is that because burst is more recoily as a blade, more recoil against an attack type means that the attack type's hits will actually be a lot harder, so you could potentially burst. But that's not really a problem because you can also launch around the outside to kind of get a mobility, so... And then of course guilty will stall around that end too. And kind of just wasted stamina. That wasn't the best launch on my part, but you can see the point that's being demonstrated. Yeah, so burst will kind of, it's very good in defense, and obviously it's much better in right spin stamina than it is in left. So there's not really much else to test it against. I suppose we can try it against a right spinning Xiphoid combination. So Xiphoid, Belial 2, Giga. We're actually going to switch this one to an Evolution Dash. So Giga Evolution Dash with 1. First. So obviously with Xiphoid on Evolution, just as for the combo, I like Evolution as an attack driver, preferably even more than something... Wow, okay, that was... So obviously, even against something like Evolution Dash, it barely manages to outspin it because you can really get tilted. But for like Xiphoid on Evolution, I like this just because you can launch full power and not really worry about having to control it, because Evolution Dash and Zyphoid is like heavy enough where it'll go fast but bounce off the wall, so you know it'll come back towards the center. Whereas something like Quick Dash, you need to control it. Of course, Quick Dash is a lot more reliable. But yeah, so that pretty much gets the point across with Burst Spriggan over Bearing Mobius 0. It's very good in Same Spin, except against Vanish, as you saw. And it's pretty good defensive-wise as well. The main problem is just opposite spin, as I said, and yeah, so I'd recommend this to anyone who's using it in a tournament. It will do pretty well. It does cover a wide range of combos. So Burst Spriggan over Bearing Mobius 0. I'm definitely gonna try to do a lot more like combo videos that you'd use in tournaments and just fun combos overall. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. Subscribe if you enjoyed, have fun, and don't forget to keep on blading.